breaking news on 2 News at 7.
Breaking news on Ark Salt Lake tonight. The search is on in Ogden after a child or teenager fell through the ice on a local pond there. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brian Schnee. Let's get out live to the scene where Ogden police are providing a live update right now. Let's listen in.
Okay. The juvenile has been located. The divers located the juvenile. He's been taken immediately to the hospital, and they're continuing life-saving measures with him.
We are told that he will be taken by life flight to Primary Children's Hospital because at times that cold water can actually preserve the brain. What can you tell us about that?
Only what the medical people tell me, and that is that with the hypothermia that comes with this, there have been instances where people have been able to be saved after hours. So we're all very optimistic. We're all very, we're hopeful that this all turns out well.
Did we have a pulse or anything?
I don't know.
How long was he in the water?
Goodness, a couple hours. I'm not sure.
Okay. What happens next?
This is all medical from here. The medical people do their jobs and do everything they can to save his life.
How tough is it for crews that are out on a scene like this? I mean, 2 teenagers, dire situation, life or death situation out there. How hard is it to be working on a case like this?
Well, our hearts go out to everyone that worked on this, all the people that there's donated time, they're first responders responding, and we just really appreciate everything that they do to keep our community safe.
Is the other juvenile still in the hospital?
I don't know that. I know he was treated at a local hospital.
Okay, thank you so much. Anything else you can tell us? Anything we're missing?
There's nothing at this point.
Rescue crews were out at Glassman Pond earlier today. You can see David Ochoa is there on scene for us right now. A live report coming up tonight at 10 o'clock. What we do know is that there were 2 juveniles that we were told that were actually fishing on that frozen over pond. They both went in the water. One of them was able to get out rather quickly. The search was on for the second, where you just heard that update from Lieutenant Cox with Ogden City Police, that second individual was located, but you heard the time frame there, hours potentially in that freezing cold water. And of course, not only hoping for the best for everyone involved, but we'll be sure to keep you updated when we learn more about this situation as it continues to unfold. And for the very latest, you can find that on our website, KUTV.com. We're staying in Ogden tonight to that huge fire from over the weekend. Flames broke out Saturday afternoon at a 5-story apartment complex that was being built near the Vinci Academy. The fire took down a construction crane. The videos are remarkable. Before destroying the building in a span of less than 3 hours, multiple fire departments responded. Neighbors west to a vacant building, but crews were able to get that part of the fire out quickly. But I hate to use the word inferno, but look at these videos. They are remarkable. This is the video of that crane going down right there. Other places that were damaged, including the nearby IRS building and the Da Vinci School. The ATF is now investigating. Still no word on the cause of this fire. Today, 2 News spoke with the executive administrator for the Da Vinci Academy. He detailed the damage to the school, what it will take to get students back in the classrooms, and what were they able to see through cameras at the school as the fire was burning.
Well, obviously there's no kids here today because we have broken glass. We have melted playground equipment. We have holes in the roof. Hot embers have burned holes in the fake turf or AstroTurf where they play. So a lot of that stuff has to be fixed. The building was not on fire, and we attribute that to the fantastic neighbors of the Ogden Fire Department and Chief Slater and his crew and the first responders. I mean, they were here in minutes. I mean, it's good to have good neighbors. And they focus completely on our buildings, and that's why we have minimal damage. Only the outer panes that was facing the actual building that was burning on both of our buildings broke or compromised, and the inner panes remained intact. One of the office administrators called me and said, "Hey, the building in between our schools on fire," and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" So we have cameras, and so I pulled up my cameras, and it was just engulfed in flames, and I couldn't see any firefighters. So my concern was, do they know about it? But they did. They had just blocked off the perimeter, and were protecting our building. So I actually called 911. I was like, hey, there's a fire right between our school, just because I couldn't see from the melted camera that I had. Mayor Nadolski had called me and told me that they were focused just completely on our buildings, which was a great relief. And I got down here, the telephone pole was on fire, power was out, all the lights were out. It took a little bit to get down here. So that's kind of what I saw. We have to be safe. So I can't have kids walking in the building and having glass shards fall from the windows. I'm leaving that up for my principals. So we have a restoration company, Paul Davis, that is actively taking out those shards of glass. And once that is done, once the roof is patched, they have to clean the HVAC system, make sure there's no particulates in the air that's going to cause allergic or allergies for students. So my goal would be, if we can get them here this week, we're going to. If not, Monday. So they were hosing down. I mean, the first thing they were doing, they're hosing down all of our buildings. I could look inside my cameras before the power went out, and I could see that there was no smoke inside. It seemed like it was just a normal night at the school, no one in there. So I wasn't worried at that point. I was more worried about how do we then communicate this out to our parents and our community. How do we get plans in place so kids aren't losing education? And then how can we work with the fire department or the police to make sure they get a proper investigation of what happened? Grateful that the first responders did the right thing and focused on the buildings that actually had people in it or are being used. The other buildings they're not being used, they're vacant. And so they focused on our two schools. Just truly grateful for, like I said, the first responders, the Ogden Fire Department, other firefighters that came working in freezing weather, wet, cold. Just really grateful for their service.
Now, this fire is the third in 4 years to burn an apartment building site in Ogden. To get a better idea of how different buildings are made and why we might be seeing more of these types of fires, our Kristen McPeak spoke with a safety inspector of an Ogden construction company today.
I think the reason you're seeing them is there's so much of the wood frame building going on right now. All of these apartment complexes that are going up, most of them are at least 90% wood. And obviously wood is very flammable, and so it's a high risk. And the reason you're seeing so much of it, I believe, is just because there's so much of it going on.
And has there always been wood frames or wood buildings like this, or was it used to be things like steel?
I believe it's cheaper up front to build them, so that they can, they work off of the revenue of their rentals and whatnot. And I just believe that's the reason why.
What are some of the causes of these fires? I mean, I know the specific one in Ogden. We don't know it yet, but just in general.
Heaters can be one. I know that there was one in Salt Lake that was caused by overcombustion, if you will, of some heaters that was in that building and just caused it to catch on fire. We don't allow any open flame on our job sites, period, but especially on wood frame buildings. You got to be very, very careful. So heaters is one. You've got workers that have open flame and grinders, and they're cutting and they're creating sparks. And with a wood frame building, obviously you get sawdust in piles and different things that are very, very flammable because they actually have glue in them from the plywood that's cut. So now they're very, very flammable. We do the best we can to secure our job sites. One is to fence it in, close the gates at night when you're done, lock them. But a fence will only keep so many people out. That'll keep the honest people out, I guess, if you will. So yeah, part of it can be human caused. Homeless people setting up a camp, trying to get warm. We're in the cold part of the winter, and so yeah, people can do whatever they got to do to try to stay warm.
Is there anything more that can be done to prevent this from happening in the future?
24-hour security. And, we've been talking within our business here that may end up being a requirement from the fire marshal, from the state fire marshal, that any wood frame building will have to be required to have 24-hour security, if you will. And we have security on our projects, and we're still getting broke into. We're still having theft. We haven't had any fires, knock on wood, but we do get theft, and we have 24-hour security on our jobs.
Coming to Salt Lake, robots in the operating room are nothing new, but this one helps bring a special touch. Why a surgeon at the Huntsman Cancer Institute says this particular robot is next level. In an Eye on Utah tonight, what sounds like something out of a science fiction movie, perhaps, is now changing lives at the Huntsman Cancer Institute. A new surgical robot is making procedures less invasive and recovery.
So this is the Vinci 5. It's the latest surgical robot here at the Huntsman Cancer Institute, and it doesn't just mimic the surgeon's hands. Now it allows them to feel every move with incredible precision.
Okay, check this out. From the console, surgeons operate, guiding the robot's arms like a video game.
What type of surgeries can this do? All surgeries?
Any surgery that you can think of.
Dr. Brian Mitzman has been working with robotics in the operating room for 15 years. but says this robot is next level.
What makes this really special is that we could finally feel what we're doing as we're operating. Bring this arm back over here.
With its high-tech tactile feedback, they can feel pressure, tugging, pulling, as if their own hands are doing the work.
This is going to lead to safer surgery, more efficient surgery. We'll just be able to do more complex operations.
Can anything really replace the human hand?
I think I can do better surgery with the robot than I can with just my own hands.
All right, I'm going to give this a go. Thankfully, there's no patient today. Look at this. Right now, I'm grabbing this rubber band and I'm pulling the rubber band apart, and I can actually feel, it feels like I'm pulling the rubber band apart, but it's the robot's arms doing all of that.
With its tiny robot arms, it can make incisions as small as 1/4 of an inch, dramatically shortening recovery times.
We could just do those small holes to slip in between the ribs. Don't have to break a rib, don't have to cut a rib.
For patients like Denise Daly, this robot was a difference maker.
I had surgery with a robot, yes.
Does that just sound crazy to you?
It was crazy.
After being diagnosed with stage 1 lung cancer, Denise was one of this robot's first patients.
Yes, the piece of the lung that they took out, and then the tumors in the middle. The most amazing part of the whole thing was knowing you weren't going to have your ribs broken.
She went home the next day with no limitations.
Minimally invasive surgery, that is the standard of care nowadays.
And this robot isn't just cutting recovery times, it's also equipped with AI technology to help surgeons improve.
It gives you a report card that tells you how you did, how much force did you put on the tissue, how much did you move your arms, where can you be better. It benchmarks you against the rest of the country.
As the first center in the Mountain West to use the Da Vinci 5, the Huntsman
community just getting the latest technology for our patients.
And for patients like Denise, this is a symbol of hope.
The word cancer is scary. It's probably the scariest thing out there. But no, don't be afraid. They're so kind to you here and so passionate. Very, very passionate.
Kristen Kenny, KUTV 2 News.
Okay, meteorologist Sean Kelly is here. Sean, I am sick and tired of seeing this.
I mean,
I'm tired of it.
It's sad. It's sad. The
It
third
is sad.
least snowy season on record to date. And yeah, we've just seen some measly snow here, over 4 inches for the month of January.
Yeah, it's nothing.
If you're wondering, 2 feet below normal right now. So we've got a lot of catching up to do, Brian. I'm hoping we can pick things up here in the next several weeks. Unfortunately, in the short term, it is looking pretty slim chances ahead. We've got temperatures right now that are falling quickly. We're into the 20s across the area. It'll probably maybe improve a little bit tomorrow with some easterly canyon winds, but then it's going to increase and air quality is going to go downhill as we get into Wednesday, unfortunately. Look at some of these temperatures here. It's cold. 12 in Heber, 18 right now in Provo, 23 in Delta, 24 in Milford, 27 in Cedar City. We're at 45 in St. George, and we continue our dry streak there, 60 days without any measurable rain or snow. However, that could potentially come to an end by this time tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then hopefully on Tuesday. We've got an upper level low down towards the south. You can see those showers activity. That's continuing to wane right now. Just a few snow flurries and showers here through the overnight out towards the south and east. But tomorrow morning, look at this. We've got some scattered activity just north of the St. George area. Heading into Cedar City, you're going to see some scattered snow showers there. And then tomorrow evening, that'll be a chance for some showers reaching the valley floors in the St. George area. If we miss, we have the best chance to see something falling from the sky and reaching the ground early Wednesday morning, continuing on to the afternoon. So how much rain do we pick up down towards the south? Well, a few hundredths of an inch. It's not a big storm, not going to be significant, which is unfortunate because we are really in a deficit down there as well. Even more of a severe drought down towards that southwestern corner. But we could see some snow, a few inches of snow from Bryan Head into the Escalante area, maybe back eastward into Monticello. So we're hoping to see that. St. George, you're going to be dealing with temperatures here going from the 40s, eventually to the 50s. We'll see a few of those showers through Wednesday. We dry things out on Thursday. Look at the sunshine for Thursday here, and then look at that warm up. We're talking about golf weather as we head into the weekend with temperatures warming back up into the 60s. Here in Salt Lake City, well, we've got canyon winds that we've got to deal with the next 2 days. The good news here, minus the winds, is the nice warm-up that we're going to see. Plenty of sunshine. Hazy skies will really be noticeable by Thursday and Friday. And then look at that warm-up, though. We go from the 30s to the 40s, eventually back up into the 50s. There's that weekend storm right on cue. This is going to be a warm one, but we're going to see more significant snow in the mountains, actually measurable, maybe a foot of snow out the area as we make our way into Saturday and Sunday. 50s, by the way.
All right. Yeah. Riding that roller coaster. Thank you, Sean. We will be right back. And now we wait. The Super Bowl is less than 2 weeks away, but Bud Light is already teasing the commercial it will run during the game.
That's right. It features Utah's favorite artist, Post Malone, and comedian Shane Gillis. Take a look.
Hey, you know you're not actually allowed to drink in a beer commercial?
Since when?
You gotta wait till it's done. Oh.
Same thing we can't do on television, right? 5, 4, all right. Last week, Anheuser-Busch InBev announced that Malone and Gillis will appear together in a Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles face off in the big game on Sunday, February 9th in New Orleans.
Oh no, never a good sign. Keeping with the Super Bowl ads, Budweiser bringing back a Clydesdale Full for its Super Bowl ad for the first time in more than a decade. After the Full watches the keg fall off, it rolls it all the way to a bar.
Yeah, it's not as easy as it looks, but the little Full does the job. The ad is titled First Delivery.
So it's those beer companies that are getting ahead of the game here.
Oh,
I
yeah.
noticed one of the Post Malone commercial ran yesterday, so
Yeah,
I did see that.
They always pay a lot of money.
Yes, they do. Well, we'll see if any Utah commercials make the spotlight here. Ready? We'll do it on our own. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.